Hello, folks. This is going to be off the cuff. I find myself plagued by a case of perfectionism where when I need to say something, I overthink it. I went to a production from a theater company in this area, and very well known in the theater community. And 4 of my students were in it, and then as I was watching everybody else sing, I noticed they were all using my tricks because my students share them with them. Now today, that's going to be a video about the difference between vowel modification and vowel substitution. We hear vowel substitution all the time, okay? Usually regarding the E vowel or the U vowel, okay? The goal of substitution is to get the voice to work right. The goal of modification is to give the illusion of the correct word. I'm going to sing this piece, which is from the Basilica Psalter by J. Hunstiger. And I'm going to sing one verse and one refrain. Then I'm going to go through it and discuss how I would change the pronunciations regarding my own dialect from this area, Buffalo Niagara Falls, so that my voice resonates better. You are a priest forever in the light of Melchizedek. The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand, till I make your enemies your footstool. You are a priest forever in the light of Melchizedek. Now, what did I do? E and U don't work on a lot of notes. As a matter of fact, they're transition vowels. But when they don't work, you have to change the way you say them. You are a priest forever would be flat. If you take a look at the spectrograms from Dr. Coffin's book, Overtones of El Canto, on page 173, you will see that E and umlaut A or round A share some of the same overtones. So this is a different way to say an E vowel when it doesn't work, which is most of the time. What you do is do the substitution A, E. Priest forever, priest forever. It's a different way to say an E, okay? Now, in Buffalo, we have a nasty tendency to take our vowels and put some of the consonant in there. For ev. See how I put the V into the A? I'm a priest forever, ever, in the line. That's the way we say it here. Line. Isn't that horrible? Line of Melchizedek. Okay? The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand. Nope. The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand, till I make your enemies your footstool. Now, E and U, and technically the schwa and round E, don't work on a lot of notes. But if you notice, I did an actual U on footstool because it works there. That's the point of the chart, okay? The scepter of your power, the Lord will stretch forth from Zion. Let me take that phrase. The scepter of, not of, your power, the Lord will. It does not work on that note for me, and it wants to crack. Now, just as E and umlaut A share the same overtones. I and umlaut E share the same overtones. Breaking it down, form the substitution first, get your mouth into that shape, and then use your tongue to put in the vowel you're trying to sing. I. Sounds the same when you sing it. Little different when you say it. Sit at my right hand. I don't work there. I change the way I say it. Okay? Actually, let's do this one. The Lord will stretch. The Lord will stretch forth from Zion. Rule in the midst of your enemies. E works there. Okay? So, singing is about vowels. Burton Coffin says that vowel may not work on that note at least the way you want it. When I started writing my book, I started to get an expanded chromatic vowel chart from the researcher Ingo Tietze. Now, what is he trying to do? He's trying to do what I'm trying to do, which is see if I can give the illusion of the word. If you take a look at page 116 in Overtones of Bel Canto, Dr. Burton Coffin talks about harmonics and subharmonics. What it boils down to is the resonances of Dr. Burton Coffin's book are the strongest. There are other ways to do it, and then we call other voices and other registers, okay? But in my experience, the voice has to be pretty darn healthy in order for that to happen. As you can see, the way we say our ah vowel, I've spent a lot of time fixing a lot of people in this area. The reason why I put out my book in the first place is, again, I was caught in paralysis analysis, was when Adele had her third injury. Now, this is a very wealthy woman. She could obviously afford the best. What happened? They didn't address how she said her vowel. You can hear it. Out. And I'm overdoing it so you hear it, but it's a nasty sound. It not only sounds ugly, the sound waves generated by it on certain pitches cause the tissue damage. Should always be modified. And the camera person who's in front of me is making sure I don't spill the beans. Is there a healthy way to say it, Mr. Sage? I said yes, and you're going to have to pay for it. I'm not just going to let it out. It's giving those who I've taught to sing a great advantage. The other thing is while I am classically trained, I have a very hard time singing classical anymore. The woman who taught me and had Burton Coffin from 1983 knew it worked. She was willing to try it. But it didn't tell her what she wanted to hear. Once I get it in the right place, I can sing any vowel any way I want. Once it's in the right place, the vowel won't matter. And what it boils down to in that statement was, she believed that if the air was right in the right channels, the vocal cords would vibrate freely and the vowel wouldn't matter. I believe what Dr. Burton Coffin says, the vowel does matter. When I was singing the Marquis d'Aubigny La Traviata in the 90s, the head of the Academy of Vocal Arts, very kind man, asked me what dialect of Italian I was singing. I said, I believe Tuscan. He said, you should be singing in Florentine. Okay. One of the funny things about Buffalo is being an international city, we actually have a vice consul here from Italy, and she's one of my students. And Dr. Luci Coracci Ederer and I had a discussion on this, and she said, Gary, sometimes you can hear the accent, sometimes you can't, but singers say things like singers. Pavarotti was not from Tuscany. He was from the opposite end of Italy. It didn't matter. When you sing, the accents disappear. So what happens when I'm in a competition in the classical and they say, well, you know, you didn't quite pronounce that right? I would ask whether the people directly from that country understand what you're saying. Because when people who are from that country hear it, they just hear their word. They're not nitpicking the pronunciations. And last but not least, I respect the person who taught me this very much, but we disagree on some things. I think the vowel matters. I think how you say it matters. I think the opening of the vowel matters. Dr. Burton Coffin says you can either change the vowel or change the opening and keep that vowel. And if you take a look at my book, that will show you how to read that in the grammatic vowel chart. But again, change the shape of the mouth, change the opening of the mouth, you're changing the way you say things. The person who taught me wrote what's known as the NISMA guidelines. She wrote them. What I've heard from other people around the city is that she's an excellent teacher. She really is. But at some point in time, her students stopped getting better. And I can tell you why. As soon as the person starts producing great timbre, then she goes to fix the word. And we go back and forth between great tone and pronunciation. Great tone and pronunciation. Great tone and pronunciation. And they end up this close to greatness. Contrast that with another teacher in the area who I've never worked with, who would tell her students, let's get the sound first and worry about the word later. When you're dealing with overtones of bel canto, the fastest way to get good progress is to sing things which fit you. As a matter of fact, in the 1980s, my teacher was in Hawaii at a NATS conference, and they asked this one man how come he was so successful, and this person, I wasn't there, supposedly said, I highly research the songs I'm singing and I only sing things which make me sound good. Research what? So when the internet started, I went searching for students of Burton Coffin, and lo and behold, guess there was one in Hawaii. Now, how many of us have that luxury? One of my students, who's on the other side of the country thanks to the internet, was in a competition as a professional, and I showed him how to do some of the modifications so he could give the illusion of the pronunciation even though it wasn't, so it resonated better, and sure enough he won. And nobody noticed. Mr. Sage, what happens if I'm trying to sing something that don't fit me? I said, well, I got a choice. Either don't sing it or we tweak our vowels. When I was going through that responsorial psalm right there, do I think about it? No. It just happens. I've trained my body to do so. Am I aware of it? Yes. Having worked with chromatic vowel chart for this long, I can look at the thing and know just what pretty much anybody needs to do anywhere, okay? Especially myself. I know when to modify, I know when not to modify. And the big problem I sometimes run into, because I was watching my own students in this theater production, is they don't do an E in its natural state. And when Burton Coffin tells you to do an E in its natural state, it matters. As I said before, E and U are transition vowels. They're one of the ways we can tell what the voice is. So I'm going to do an U, but I'm going to use this straw to find out where my voice cracks, okay? Remember what I said, it's going to cause a transition. That tells me I'm basso. If it cracked on an F sharp, I'd be barotenor, G tenor, okay? Same thing with women. I did not see this. I was taught this by the teacher who taught me Burton Coffin. She must have seen it on the stage and used it. It'll tell you where note 23 is, okay? I can do the same thing like this. Only problem is most students don't want to crack, and they think they've done something wrong. So I don't use this very much. Where E and U work in its natural state matters, because when E and U work in their natural state there, it'll take you to the next area in your voice. Page 112, for me, starts on this G, goes up to the C. If I modify it, let me do E and A, okay? Instead of U and O, which would be on this page. E, A. And I'm going to do it once modified, and then I'm going to do it unmodified in its natural state. Okay. When I don't modify it, that matters. It went exactly right and lined it right up for my mixed voice right there. So the purpose of this video is twofold. One, to teach people how to start giving the illusion of the word, because this is out there. You hear people substituting all the time. It'll help give you an advantage. Number two, you're going to get to where you want to go using his exercises by following the directions. The lazy student just figures, I'll just always modify that e-vowel. No, that'll hamper your development. Thank you for listening, folks. I hope I made sense. If not, leave some questions in the comment. I'll be happy to answer them. If you're looking for me to do a video on how to do a healthy well, you'll have to wait about 10 years when I'm 70, especially since the camera person doesn't allow me to spill the beans. Here's a way to do it healthy. Yes, it must always be modified. Every person who's come in my studio with damage, paralysis, polyps, or nodules, which are basically blisters, and I teach them how to say their differently, or in some cases I just substitute another vowel, they'll heal in 6 to 8 weeks. Must always be modified. Other ones, not always. When you're doing your exercises, pay attention. Thank you for listening.